everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm continuing on my theme of trying to play RPG games solo, and I'm gonna still be using ZagBest CRGE, which stands for Conjectural Role-Playing Game Master Emulator. I'm still not tired of that one, even though some of you guys have recommended other solo RPG systems, and I'm sure I'll get around to trying them someday. But today I've got a special little idea I'm trying out, and instead of pairing CRGE with Dungeons and Dragons, like I've been doing in my past few videos, today I'm gonna pair it with this. An RPG that's based off Jenga, and it's called Dread. So, what is Dread? In a nutshell, Dread is a way to play horror games without using dice. Instead, everyone gets a player. Usually you play it at 4 or 5 people, maybe even 6. And people take turns taking pieces out of the tower to accomplish actions. So instead of throwing dice like in Dungeons and Dragons and many other RPGs, if you want to do something difficult, you take a Jenga piece. And this is meant to put suspense and to visualize it. What I love about this game, and I've played it many times before, is that as the story progresses and you get scared and you're running away from a murderer or exploring a haunted house or what have you, the tower gets shakier and shakier. And every time you gotta take an action, you're half scared to death that your character is about to die. Just like you would be in your character's situation. So it's a very simple game. Very elegant, easy to learn. And the last few weeks, I was thinking to myself, wouldn't it be great as a solo RPG? Wouldn't it be so dramatic on camera to see the tower about to fall, to have you guys really engrossed in the suspense? I was thinking, yeah, this is a great candidate. So I thought, yeah, I'm gonna give it a go and see how my viewers like it. So without further ado, let's get into it. But first, I gotta adjust my lighting because we're gonna go in a sort of cyberpunky sci-fi world. Therefore, let me get the sci-fi lights on. Alright, much better. So, a game of Dread starts with a questionnaire. It's not a character sheet, nothing complicated like that, no attributes roll, no character classes, none of that stuff. It's just 13 questions your dungeon master asks you to help you develop a character. I will not have you endure the whole process of filling out those questions, but I will have you accompany me as I finish filling out a few of the questions. I've got 3 characters I'll be playing, and they are the following. I've got a guy who is a barman, kind of a young guy who lived outside of the city. Okay, because the action of this story is gonna take place in a smart city, a big metropolis, futuristic, techie, kind of stuff you see in cyberpunk or Blade Runner or Judge Dredd, that kind of city. So he's a barman. He has a bike because synthwave. And you know, he has a couple flaws, a couple different little things that you're gonna learn about through the story. So I wanted to fill out some of those questions with you guys. And I also wanted to leave a bit of those to random chance because I like that stuff. I think it helps you think outside the box. So I will be using CRGE to determine some of these. And I might even use Bold or Yoon, which are companion pieces that the creator of CRGE came up with for people to use in their solo RPG games. Okay. The first question is, are you athletic? Is my main protagonist guy an athletic guy? And I wanted to ask this using dice rolls. So let me do just that. So I will be asking this question to the CRGE Loom of Fate, which uses 2 10-sided dice to make it like a choice out of 100. And I will not be using the surge function, and I will be rolling on the 2 knowledge table. So here goes. And that's an 83. Awesome. So 83, that is a yes and. Very good. So yes, he is athletic. And furthermore, so what could that be? Well, what comes to mind is that he is athletic and he exercises 3 times a week. There we go. It's part of his routine. So he's reliably athletic. This should be very useful when stuff hits the fan. Now, I have, how did you land this gig? So now let me tell you a little bit about the gig in question. My character has been hired as a barman to be there at a reception for a party in the penthouse suite of a very luxurious big building. Like big huge tower with a lot of different floors, and at the top floor you have like the big time entrepreneurs, corporation cadres, the high rollers, you know, the celebrities and stuff. And I said it's the Tower of Herman Black, which is like a tech billionaire. And he does robots and stuff like that. So how did I land this gig? Here's what I came up with. The head of staff at the penthouse asked all his contacts about young barmen / barmaids that would look good at the party. And the owner of the bar, where my character usually works, chimed in with his name, and after a short virtual interview, he was hired. So he was basically chosen for his youth and good looks, more or less. The fact that he is fit. Okay, so next up. Despite your new lifestyle, what guilty pleasure, quote unquote, from your past do you still allow yourself? That is a question I lifted straight off the Dread rulebook. So a guilty pleasure from my past. Well, in the past, my character was an outsider. So it has to be a guilty pleasure from the outside world. I know what that could be. Alright. I still like to do mud racing like I used to do as a teenager. On summer weekends, I'll bring my bike to a town near the city where they do racing tournaments. I've lost more money than I've made, but I think it's good for me to stay in touch with my roots. And as a side note, to the question, what do you think you're better at than you really are? I answered driving, especially on my bike. I've gotten a few close calls. So, he's not a super good bike racer, but he dabbles and he enjoys it. And maybe one day that's how he's gonna go out. Since he got the close calls before. So, you know, if it gets dangerous and he's on his bike, we'll see how it goes. But anyway, so I'm almost done. I just need to answer what was your most embarrassing moment, and then I'll name my character and I'll be done with him. So what was my most embarrassing moment? I thought this question would be perfect to answer with bold, which basically generates situations for your character to resolve. I've tried this before in my other videos if you're interested. So I have to roll the 2d10 basically twice. 86, and the second one 76. Okay, very close. So I like to do column and then row. So 8 is personal and 6 is debt. So I get debt. Okay. I'll jot it down. And 76 gives me valuable. Okay, that's gonna be something to come up with. An embarrassing moment related to a personal debt that is valuable? What? Alrighty, I think I came up with something pretty dang good. I was a 14-year-old. I was caught by my uncle trying to steal my grandfather's gold watch during his funeral. He wanted to be put in the ground with it on his wrist. But my character, ooh, what a nice gold watch. Ah, he doesn't need it in the afterlife. Let's just put it on my wrist instead. But of course, my uncle pulled me by the ear and sermoned me in front of the whole family. Which makes it for an embarrassing arse anecdote. Alrighty. I think I'm ready to name my character and move on to the other ones, which will be much quicker to do. I kind of want to call him Jake. Let me just roll a waylay modifier to help me come up with the name. So that'll be a D100. So it's a 13. 13 is prohibited. Prohibited. Jake and something that sounds like prohibited. Jake. Well, here we go. It's gonna be called Jake Stapp. Jake Stapp. No, that sounds dumb as frick. Jake Block? Hey, it's me, Jake Block. Kinda cool. Jake Fence. Jake Fencer. Here we go, Jake Fencer. So he's supposed to be a man, a leader, flawed, willing to take risks, humble beginnings. Should be kind of the action guy in this story. But we also have a model that I already named Eleanor Applebaum. And I've got a couple places that I didn't answer yet. I've got who hired you for this gig? How did he/she find you? Already have an idea about that. What do you do as a hobby? And when you have trouble sleeping, what pleasant memory do you focus on? Which is also straight from the Dread textbook. Let's start with the hobby. So she's a model. She does exercise and dance videos, kind of like a TikTok e-girl. She posts every day. She's locally famous, and she's kind of sponsored by brands. She lives in the smart city. She probably got in the party because of her fine looks and her relative fame, which makes a lot of sense. So, to find a hobby, I'll give it a shot to do it with another bold waylay. But I've got an inkling that it might not work. So, let's start with that and then we'll see. I'll judge of what I get when I get it. Alright. Whoopsies. I'm gonna reroll the one that went away. Okay, I tried to roll and you really couldn't see Jack, so I put this little light, and now let's redo the roll because can't see crap. Alright, so first roll. That is a 44. And the second one. Ooh, that is a 3. So we get physical trap. Okay, this is not boding very well. And hesitant. Yeah, I'm not sure the ball really is helping me with that one. Okay, good luck finding something with that. So, as a hobby for Eleanor Applebaum, I said, lately I've been into VR escape rooms, hence the trap. This should be pretty useful for the story, so that's a plus. Now, when you have trouble sleeping, what pleasant memory do you focus on? So I would assume it's probably related to, I think I wrote something about her grandmother. Yeah, she's definitely something about her family. Alright, so I came up with a sweet little souvenir, a sweet little memory for Eleanor. When she has trouble sleeping, she likes to reminisce about that afternoon when she was 7 at her grandma's house and she was playing with her grandma's dog. I felt like this afternoon could stretch on forever. Nice little moment that has been lost in her life in the city as a model, always grinding online, always exercising and fasting, dieting. surgeries, shopping, all that stuff that you might imagine a model doing now, and that you might imagine a model being even more obsessed with in the future. So now we have who hired you for this gig? How did he or she find you? I kept this question for the end because we need to know more about that person, which is our third character. So I will roll on the Yoon table to learn more about them. But first, I'm just gonna throw a d6 to determine if they're a guy or a girl. Because I want to leave that to a random chance, because it doesn't change much if it's either. 1, 2, 3, it's a guy. 4, 5, 6, it's a girl. That is a 3, and so it's a guy. So it's gonna be someone with a prestigious job. Someone who made it big. Some guy who managed to get to the penthouse either because he's involved in the robot business or because he's supplying, he's part of the supply chain maybe, or because he's just as famous or on that level, that strata of famous as the robot guy. Like, he could have some sort of a big, successful corporation or a line of restaurants or whatever you might imagine. Which is why I'm gonna ask it on Yoon. Yoon, which is an NPC creator. Supposed to help you just with a couple roles come up with a character. You can do a bunch of roles and get their motivation and multiple motivations. But I'll just do the first 2 tables, and that should already give me a pretty good outline of who that character is. So I will be rolling 2 times with 2 d10s. It's a 66 for a first roll, and now the second roll, a 59. This gives me fanatic. Okay, that's pretty intense. And apprentice. I like where this is going. So you might have noticed the knack about playing solo RPGs is really to do rolls, random rolls, and then learn how to roll with the punches, learn how to make sense of what you get. Doing just that, I came up with a guru. Fanatic apprentice? That's because he's a guru, a cult leader. Someone who used to be the apprentice of another guru, and that started their own cult. And just like famous cults, his cult attracted a lot of famous people around the city, which is why he's being invited to the tower. So now the question I have is Eleanor a member of the cult? Or is she just there to improve the guru's prestige, you know, by being like his entourage? Oh, that is 26. So that's good. Eleanor didn't get conned yet. I hope she won't get conned by the end of the adventure. So coming back to who hired you for this gig and how did he find you? I replied, Father Zorg. That's how I'm gonna call him. The transhumanist guru I want him to be kind of a cyborg, kind of a guy who embraces augmenting yourself. He found me online, looking at my pictures, and offered to pay my expenses. He slid in her DMs, as you would say. He offered to pay my expenses for me to escort him at the party. He promised it would bolster my career by allowing me to network with the glitterati present there. So that is another character wrapped up. So I've answered what is his name. It's Father Zorg. And oh yeah, does he have any security with him? You would think so. Usually cult leaders have security. But then again, maybe it's part of his persona to not really have any. So I will roll with the Loom of Fate. And we've got a measly 27. So he does not have security, except perhaps for the security he already carries with him through his augmented exoskeleton. Moreover, the penthouse is supposed to have tons of security, so that's probably why he doesn't have any extra. That's pretty much a wrap for the questions I wanted to answer on camera with you guys. So now I'm just gonna finish up his profile, and then we'll be ready to begin the first scene, which will be at the penthouse with our character. Get ready, because I hope by the end of that scene, or maybe by the next scene, shit will have hit the fan, and you will have a glimpse of what kind of baddie, what kind of enemy, what kind of monster, perhaps, I have concocted for this story. Hello there, and congratulations! You've stuck through the least entertaining part of this series. The part where I have to explain the rules and develop the characters. I do hope you got some value out of this, though. Perhaps I've made you want to try Dread, the Jenga Horror RPG. Or perhaps I've inspired you to try CRGE and Yoon as a way to make your player characters in whatever you choose to write or whichever game you want to run. For instance, I'm super happy with how Father Zorg came out. I had no idea I was gonna make a guru, and yet, looking at the dice, that's what that's what my mind latched onto. So it definitely works with me for making more original characters that I would never come up with otherwise. But I'm here to tell you, part 2 is already out. And it's much more entertaining. You get lots of character interactions between them and with secondary characters. You get to meet Ermin Black, the CEO of the tower. And I take you right up to the moment where the horror is about to start. All in one scene. You see me coming up with the story almost live. You get to see how each role influences my creativity. And you get to see me throw a bunch of dice, pull a bunch of pieces out of the Jenga tower, and that bastard really shakes a lot. It was pretty dang spooky, to be honest. So if you want to check it out, I'm gonna link it right up there over my head and in the description. If you toughed it out all the way through this part, I'm sure you'll love the first scene. Can't wait to get your feedback on it. I think I've got a nice little secondary series started. So thank you so much for watching. Hope you have a good day and see you soon in my next video. Bye!